Last Wednesday, after we went to air, but not because we went to air, Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews announced an emergency late-night press conference, or as the ABC's Beverly O'Connor put it...
The Victorian Department of Health has confirmed a hotel quarantine worker has tested positive to COVID-19. We'll be crossing to a press conference with Dan Andrews soon.
Bev by name, Bevs by nature. After recent cases in Brisbane and Perth, Dictator Dan, the cruel tyrant who last year presided over Victoria's living fields, stepped up to the mic.
This is one case. There's no need for people to panic. There's no need for people to be alarmed.
Yes, nothing says don't be alarmed like an emergency 10:30 p.m. press conference. I know my decks were absolutely packed with serenity. You know, one of the great things about contact tracing is that it gives the media the ability to scrutinise the movements of a positive case in excruciating detail, like a fugitive on the run.
This 26-year-old from Noble Park was a very busy man over the past few days.
Before showing symptoms, the 26-year-old attended a bottle shop and bought a kebab in the city on Friday night, January 29. He had lunch in Noble Park and attended a Keysborough driving range on Saturday night. After Sunday breakfast in Brighton, he visited Kmart's in Keysborough and Brandon Park, then a Coles at Springvale, and continued shopping on Monday, visiting the Nakama Workshop, Bunnings Springvale, DFO Moorabbin and the Melbourne Golf Academy, eating dinner at Share Tea Springvale before picking up groceries at the local Woolworths.
It's impressive. You know, if anything, this man is a hero, a one-man stimulus for our post-lockdown economy. And with the media so willing to pore over the daily lives of everyone who gets infected, it's actually made me quite paranoid about my own itinerary. So I've made a few adjustments to my daily routine just in case I test positive. Now I drop off toys at the Children's Hospital, volunteer at the dog rescue, and then stop down for a quick bite to eat before spending the afternoon supporting my local pornographer. On Friday, we woke to news of greater protections for the LGBT community.
Gay conversion therapy has been banned in Victoria after the bill passed Parliament late last night following a marathon 12-hour debate.
For some, voting to pass the bill was a no-brainer. The appropriate acronym, however, proved a little more difficult.
My voting record speaks for my support for the LGBTQ community.
Yeah, that's right. I love gay people so much, I say the G twice. Already outlawed in the ACT and Queensland, conversion therapy itself has ranged from exorcisms to lobotomies to chemical castrations and forcing victims into having sex with people of the opposite gender. I feel like there's a word for forcing people to have sex, man. Nah. So while some maintain practising conversion therapy is their religious freedom, the UN calls it torture. What's certain is that even after the Royal Commission, it remains one last form of child abuse that churches want to practice out in the open. What was not so out in the open was who abstained from voting on the bill.
In an emotional speech, the Victorian Parliament's only openly gay MP, Harriet Shing, hit out at opposition MPs who abstained from the vote.
It's for this reason that I'm going to read those names onto the record now.
Order. On a point of order, the Leader of the Opposition.
The reality is that with the COVID restrictions, many members were simply not in the chamber and the vote was not opposed.
So while the historical record shows the yays and nays, it will never show the abstentions, the maybe-nabies, the closet nays. Maybe some were just experimenting with being nay. They were nay-curious. But we can still convert them because, remember, even if they are nay, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the devil inside them. We could pray away the nay. And if that doesn't work, there's always electroshock treatments and chemical castration. Now, if that sounds a little too much like torture, don't worry. It's just therapy. Then it was the weekend. Appropriately, the weekend played the Super Bowl, where one man came out on top.
America's biggest sporting showcase saw the greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady, reach legend status.
Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., who now has more rings than any NFL franchise. The GOAT is the GOAT is the GOAT.
That's right, the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Tom Brady is like the Michael Phelps of Michael Jordans. But Tom Brady didn't just beat the Chiefs. He seems to have beaten time itself.
43-year-old Tom Brady now has Super Bowl victories spanning 3 decades.
For Tom Brady to be 43 and to be able to accomplish what he has is amazing.
It is amazing. And as a fellow 43-year-old, I find Tom Brady so inspiring. You know, to think that between Tom and I, we've won 7 Super Bowls and been nominated for Best Newcomer at the Logies. There's no limit to what us elder statesmen can achieve. The secret to Tom's success is his famously rigid routine, organised to the minute, featuring a strict diet, exercise program and even half an hour of scheduled charity work. And looking at Tom Brady's day, I realised the only thing stopping me winning a Super Bowl is diet and a maniacal minute-by-minute focus on myself at the expense of all other elements of my life. So I made a few more adjustments to my daily routine so I too can win a Super Bowl. Now I wake up and have a green smoothie, hit the gym for some strength and conditioning, get in some charity work and finish off with some light cardio while still finding time to support my local pornographer. Now, we all know how much I care about supporting my local pornographer, which is why this next story broke my heart.
Fumbling thieves have smashed their way into an Airport West adult shop, stealing $15,000 worth of stock.
Pete, they knew what they wanted and they got straight to work using poles to smash their way into the Sexyland store here along Matthews Avenue. At least one of them is likely to have an egg on his head. He made a minor slip-up while making his getaway, running into a closed glass door before returning to the scene to remove any evidence. These thieves still managed to swipe up to $10,000 worth of smaller adult products before then hitting the jackpot, carrying out a $4,500 45-kilogram life-size doll named Kitty. Now, Kitty lost her head on the way out, but the thieves left it on the ground.
Oh, deviants. Yeah, you know, they didn't even want Kitty for her mind. Worst of all, this happened at 3 a.m, involved a clumsy man who didn't know what he was doing and lasted less than 5 minutes. That is pretty much the exact scenario that Kitty was built for. Such a shame. Now, you might remember that last week I was slightly critical of a duck. I hate that duck. I do hate that duck. But this week, I have a new enemy, this koala.
A koala dashing across the southeastern freeway sparked a multi-car pile-up and lengthy delays during this morning's peak hour.
Posing behind the wheel of her rescuer's car.
Oh, I was ready to take off. Someone, come on, Mummy. Where are we going? I'm driving.
Oblivious to the mayhem she'd left behind.
Oblivious, my gumnuts. These are the eyes of a cold-blooded carjacker. I hate that koala. A harsh ruling late Tuesday meant this morning Sydney-siders woke up to this shocking news that Curtis Stone is planning on 28 days of healthier living. Oh, and a casino story where for once the house didn't win.
James Packer's Crown Resorts won't be granted a casino licence in Sydney until sweeping changes are made to the way the company is run.
The reason? Money laundering and links to organised crime.
Organised crime in a casino. Why, you could knock me down with a feather tied to a brick. The ruling has not only neutered the $2.2 billion glass pecker Packer built on the Sydney foreshore, but led to serious questions about Packer's Perth and Melbourne casinos in the darkest day for Crown since they lost the Logies to the Gold Coast in an effort to class them up.
No, I love Don. I love Don.
And we couldn't finish this week without reflecting on the loss of a titan, Collingwood Football Club president Eddie Maguire.
Today, effective immediately, I step down from the presidency of the Collingwood Football Club. People have latched onto my opening line last week and as a result, I've become a lightning rod for vitriol.
That opening line was announcing that his club had engaged in systemic racism by describing it as
an historic and proud day for the Collingwood Football Club.
You know, this is just like the Titanic going down. If the Titanic had commissioned a report into icebergs, found damning evidence of icebergs, but still refused to admit it had an iceberg problem before, you know, hitting an iceberg. Eddie Maguire dedicated his life to being president of the Collingwood Football Club, despite also being contracted to broadcast for approximately 26 hours a day. His tenure was marked by success on the footy field, service to the community, and a record-breaking run of public apologies. At The Weekly, we think it's only right to let Eddie have the last word.
I try my best, and I don't always get it right.
What a great promo that is for King Kong. Get Adam Goods down for it, do you reckon? No, I thought so. Or you, absolutely no.
You can see them doing it, can't you?
Who?
Goodsy.
What's that? You know, but the eight thing, the whole thing, I'm just saying the pumping them up and mucking around, all that sort of stuff.
In every endeavour, my heart has been true.
No one's thinking of Caroline Wilson as being a woman. We see her as being Caroline Wilson, who's in there, who gives better than she gets, and it was all the fun of the fair.
I reckon we should start the campaign for a one-person slide next year. Caroline Wilson, and I'll put in 10 grand straight away, make it 20. and if she stays under, 50. This is an historic and proud day for the Collingwood Football Club. There have been systemic problems.
We were talking about King Kong there, and I was mumbling my way through about Goodgie. I was trying to say, imagine the old days of trying to get people in for publicity, and I've mumbled my way through that. So anyone who thought that I was having a go of being a smart aleck, I'd take that back. Yeah.
And I think we should introduce a $5,000 fine to anybody who is tossing the coin and can't do it properly. Every week get somebody dropping it on their foot. Come on, toss it up properly, for goodness sake. Practice in the week, you know you're going to do it. Before the bounce, I made some comments about how we do the coin toss, OK? It had nothing to do with Cynthia Banham, who was the coin tosser tonight at the SCG, who has a disability. I got it wrong. I love Australian rules footy. Today's situation was my fault. Tell me if you want me to move sideways or... I'm deeply sorry and I apologise unreservedly. Oh, I'm feeling terrible. Floreat Pika, may the magpie flourish and go Pies.
So you've got a Jewish father and a Scottish mother.
Yep.
Jeez, it would have been hard getting pocket money out of him, I reckon.
And that is the week.